right. Thanks for listening while we take that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Hello and welcome to Platos Cave on Revolution Radio for Revolution.radio, coming to you from Australia, the land down under. That's right. Hey, skibbity scubbity, kangaroos and koalas. The station is home to fresh ideas, uncensored for the most part. It's also funded by you, the listeners. So if you can donate to the station, that would be great. If you can't, it's okay, because, you know, as I keep saying, things are tough all over. So if you can't donate, tell people about the station. That helps. Tell them, and they will come. They will listen, and they will donate. So if you can donate, please do. If you can't, please do tell people about the station. Today is the 6th of February. Oh yeah, that's right. We're in February now. 2025. According to Philip K. Dick, I think we're living in the year 500 or 600 AD. Do you know that? Interesting story. We'll talk about it some other time. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, all the time, or on your smart device. And it's getting smarter. It's getting a lot smarter. So grab an app to listen anywhere, because the device is listening to you, or listen at home on a Gray's Table Digital Radio. We might talk about that a bit today as well. The archives are free, which is great, and there's a lot of content, so it's not a good reason to either donate or tell people about the station. And speaking of donations, any currency is good, including crypto, of course. Gold is better. Gold is going through the roof, and silver seems to be following suit. Gold is definitely gaining a lot of momentum. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast, and for Dave.
It is most definitely the Dark and Jung.
For me, of course, the Dark people, and the respect that we'd like to pay goes to the elders, past, present, and future. Thank you very much.
Nice read, Mickey. That was nice.
That was nice. I once met a man from Brussels who was 6'4" and full of muscles. Hey, I've got one for you. I've got a limerick. Let's start with the limerick. There once was a man from Totten who really was quite rotten. Then he died and no one cried, and soon he was forgotten. That's actually mine. I've written a few. You can find them. Oh yeah, you can find them on my WordPress page, Mackie69. I've got heaps of limericks. Believe it or not, I wrote a few poems, a few short stories, a very long article on bowling for Columbine. So if you've got nothing better to do, come to Mackie69 on WordPress. And the motto that I have here, it's shiny in here. That's right.
My father passed down a couple of limericks, and one I can say on air, the others I can't, because he was in the Navy. So in the olden days, and he said, the boy stood on the burning deck, his feet covered in blisters, tore his pants on a rusty nail, and now he wears his sister's.
Okay, fun. Let's do this. While summering in Blem, a man with no stem came upon a beautiful maid who had a wondrous gait, but all he managed was phlegm. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got it.
There's a few, yeah. There's one. I'm going to share a few more since we started down this road.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. 5 men in a blender, each quite slender, on a spree in the city of Brie, were returned to sender.
That's very funny.
Oh, how does this make any sense? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't, really doesn't. Oh, what else do we have here? There's so much stuff. No, but I love limericks. I really do. And I find them highly entertaining. Oh, yeah, here we go. A few men from Flens who were sitting on a fence. One fell in the mud right on his butt, making the others feel tense.
So, moving right along, Yeah.
On a fine day in spring, a man with much bling fell to the floor and, shaken to the core, stayed down and started to sing. Once, long ago in York, there was a master of the fork who ate and ate and ate everything on his plate, but not the pie of pork. 5 boys in Sweden couldn't be beaten, ran up the hill, round the old mill, and were lapped by Will Wheaton.
Oh, nice Star Trek reference there, if you know.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, if you like that. On a Thursday in Maine, there halted a man named Shane. He commanded respect and walked mostly erect, but fell victim to overborne strain. If you like that, do come and visit Mackie69 at WordPress. Mackie69.com, actually, that's what it is, Mackie69.com. A lot of pictures from my travels, a lot of food pictures. Going back to 2010, I think, is when I posted these things, when I started. I think it's 2010, I should say. 2013. But I haven't posted for a while. I should do it again. It's really quite fun to do these things. But yeah, so you want to have an insight into my mind. That's probably a good place to go. But I did want to talk about a few. Now that we've got the limericks behind us, I did want to talk about a few things, Dave. Now, this is the funny thing with Donald Trump. Of course, we want to leave with Donald Trump because he is doing stuff, and he's doing stuff in such a rapid fashion. It almost boggles the mind. I'm sure, Dave. You look at it and you go, "Wow, there's a lot of stuff happening." I mean, there really is, right? And you got to give some credit for that, I think. And some things make perfect sense. So I think not having men compete in women's sports makes sense. I also, think that Trump is correct that it's going to be very difficult for the Gazans to live in Gaza, the Palestinians.
He shared my thought about the rubble. They should either corner the rubble business or rebuild somehow.
Well, this is some good rubble here. Get your
grade A.
This rubble. Put some in your cornflakes in the morning. But the thing is this, right? This is where it gets complex. That's of course what Netanyahu wanted all along. Netanyahu wanted no Palestinians in Gaza. That's what he wants. Okay? Full stop. That was the whole aim of the game. Now the Americans have bought in, and look, let's just assume Donald Trump is well intentioned and he really thinks in his heart of hearts that this is just not a fit place for people to live. Right? Let's just assume that he's actually that way inclined, right? Nonetheless, by doing this and claiming this and wanting to resettle the Palestinians, and let's be clear, once you resettle, that's it. There's no going back. The reason the Jordanians don't want to take any Palestinians because the majority population in Jordan is Palestinian. They've been there for 60 years. If you put any more Palestinians into Jordan, it might as well be Palestine. Okay, similar with other Muslim nations and so forth. But what you are complicit in now, even if it's for the best intentions, and let's remember here that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, is that you're now complicit in ethnic cleansing. Okay, so that's what this is. I'm not saying that what Donald Trump actually is pursuing, but the effect, the end result, is ethnic cleansing. This is what happened in the Balkans. That's what the Germans did in World War II. Ethnic cleansing. Everywhere. I mean, it's happened a lot in the past. The Rwanda genocide was all about ethnic cleansing as well. If you move 2 million people from a place that is their homeland and not have them come back, and they won't come back because once they're gone, that's it. That's ethnic cleansing.
I think, Mickey, it depends on who's paying for it, because
No,
wait, America isn't going to pay for it. Then who gets the contract? Is it going to be Halliburton? Because Halliburton tend to get a lot of the rebuilding contracts. But
this is the thing, right? So, okay, that's a fair question. So let's look at the the damage done here. The damage is phenomenal. I mean, like, it is.
It's for miles from the border. I mean, literally everything's destroyed.
No, yeah, everything. This is where 2 million or 2.5 million people used to live, and now it's all rubble, all of it. So to rebuild this
it's
will
like
be
Manhattan is destroyed. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. About the same size. It's about, this will be hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild. Hundreds of billions. And you know, plumbing, not just houses, but you have to put plumbing there, electricity, you know, gas, maybe, who knows. But the entire infrastructure has to be rebuilt, including hospitals,
from
schools.
Scratch.
Yeah, actually worse, because from scratch means tabula rasa. It's you have to remove the rubble first.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So from scratch,
and who's going to want that?
If you started with a you know, flat plane of grass, you'd get better off.
That's a greenfield site, Becky.
Yeah, exactly. This is rubble. So the cleaning up effort will be years. I mean, that alone, right? Yeah. So, but the question then becomes: look, Donald Trump has said we'll take over, and we sent in the U.S. Army, and we're going to clean it up. And not only that, he's going to remove all the ordnance as well.
The ordnance and the tunnels.
The tunnels, the unexploded ordnance, but I mean, of all the bombs that fell there, a good percentage obviously didn't go off.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That's really tough, hard work. So it will cost hundreds of billions of dollars. Now the question is, who will pay for it? If America doesn't pay for it,
that's right.
Then who?
That's right.
Israel is not going to pay for it. The Palestinians cannot pay for it, and none of the Arab nations will pay for it. So
I don't know, just pluck money out of their butt.
Well,
see, Saudi Arabia has the ability to do it, but they don't have the, you know, there's not going to be anything in it for them.
Yeah, look, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, they all have the ability. They have the cash, but they will not do it. And in fact, they cannot. If they were to do it, the populations in those countries would rise up and depose the leaders. That's what would happen. It's reality, okay? So, but the way Donald Trump said it, we'll own it.
That's right.
We'll put our people on the ground. We'll clean it up.
Yeah.
Right? Not someone else. We will do it. It sounded like he or America somehow is going to pay for it. Now, this is interesting because let's just look at this from a larger perspective. Donald Trump is withdrawing from pretty much all international engagements. Right? U.S. aid is the latest one. You know, before that it was you know, there was a few other agencies he withdrew from. You know, the Kyoto Accords, etc., all of that stuff, right? You know, the climate change, etc. Oh no, I don't want to. Not interested. And he's going in drill, baby, drill, right? So there's potentially money there that he's saving over here and could put there, but the amount of money required to do this work, even if you send, or maybe especially if you send in the U.S. Army, is staggering.
But then you've got an army that is now busy building houses.
Yeah, but the thing is this: they have to be paid. They have to be housed and fed as well.
That's right.
So it's not free, right? I mean, they're not going to work for free. These are people, right? And if you employ Halliburton or whoever, it doesn't matter who you do. They have to be paid too. This is not going to be. It'll still cost hundreds of billions of dollars, and the way it was put forward, right, by Donald Trump, it sounds like America's going to pay for it.
No, not at all. I disagree. So I heard the full audio for that, and he said that America won't pay for it. It's going to be someone from the Middle East. Someone from the Middle East is going to. I'm just saying what he said, and because you know that everything he says, it leads up to some kind of deal.
Well, yeah, but what is the leverage here? Now, doing a deal when you threaten sanctions or tariffs, I can see that as an effective tool, and it worked. Both Canada and Mexico clearly have done something about border security.
That's right.
So he got his way there.
10,000 troops in Mexico.
Yeah. Now, how effective that is, unless you station them along the border, all along the border. every 100 meters is a soldier, right? But it's progress, right? It's for America. It's viewed as progress. But to be clear, there was leverage. I mean, people tried to avoid a negative impact on their economy, right? Now the Chinese are not doing the same thing. They are imposing tariffs, right, on America and vice versa. So that's happening. That's not good for anyone, but there we are. And this, who is he? No one has any interest in rebuilding it, except for the Palestinians. The Palestinians have no money. He can't make with them. They don't sit on oil reserves. Mm-hmm. There is no Arab fund for the Palestinians. It doesn't exist. There's moral support and all kinds of things, but there's no way in the world that anyone, unless it is Israel, but then Israel will make sure that none of the Palestinians are going to come back.
That sounds right.
Right? But even then, I don't think Israel has enough money to do it. This kind of rebuilding is, in modern times, almost unprecedented. If you have to do because the destruction was complete in a year, and see, the war is not over. So Israel might go back into action in the area to do what, I don't know, because it's completely destroyed. But it is just a very odd thing to say that we will clean it up, we'll own it. He said we'll own it. That's what he said.
I think not own the land itself, but own the rebuilding process.
No. Well, that's what he said. I don't want to speculate as to what he means.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But what he said is, we'll own it. We'll be there. We'll rebuild it. It'll be beautiful, right? It'll be so many jobs for so many people, unlimited, blah blah blah, whatever.
So great. Yeah.
So that, to me, there was a complete brain fart. But okay, that's fine. Of course, Netanyahu loves this. He thinks it's brilliant. He doesn't like that he said he will own it. But he loves that it won't be any Palestinian state. The Palestinians will now be living in Jordan or Egypt or wherever, right? As long as they're not anywhere near our border. Yeah. So that's what Netanyahu wanted from the start, and that's why I still think that the October attack, at the very best, was allowed to happen.
Yeah, like Pearl Harbor. Yeah.
Just like Pearl Harbor. It was a false flag. Well, sorry, it was kind of like a false flag. In the sense that people that could have prevented it
needed a buy-in
and let it happen. Mm-hmm. So that's okay. That's all right. And then you have other activities such as Panama and Greenland, where he also wishes to take ownership of things, which also costs money. Right. So all these things he's saying, they cost a lot of money. Right?
Think about how thin you would be spread if all your troops were building and you had nothing.
Look, he'll have to maintain one of the fleets there, one of the carrier fleets in the Mediterranean, and just for supply lines to resupply his people. And do you remember when they tried to build a pontoon harbor?
Where?
They couldn't do it. Do you remember that?
Where?
Right there in Gaza.
No, I don't remember. What happened to it? Did it just fail?
They couldn't. No, it failed. They completely failed to build it. It cost maybe even tens of millions of dollars. It was a complete disaster because the surf was too big, right? So it didn't work.
It just tore it apart, right? Yeah.
This was for the aid that was meant to come in, right?
Yeah, right. Okay.
So anyway, it's not here nor there, but the corps of engineers is not.
Well, it's neither here nor there or on the bottom of the ocean now, right?
But see, this comes at the same time. And again, we're only in the second or third week now. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's about right. Second or third of his administration.
That's right.
Whereas there's a lot of internal disruption, right? Now, I actually agree with a lot of... Sorry?
There is now.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with a lot of the things he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Elon Musk is the right guy to save money. That's my opinion. That's neither here nor there. I do applaud the gender barriers. Because the truth is this: if you're born a man, you're physiologically different to a woman. Yeah, This is just the truth. And no matter how much hormone replacement therapy you undertake, you will always have stronger muscle mass, and you will you will be physically different to a woman, especially if you're an athlete. And I always thought it was unfair for people that changed their gender. We're now allowed to compete in female sports because it leaves the actual physically, biologically born women at a disadvantage, and I think I agree with that 100%. Same with the school thing where two genders in school,
totally,
because the things look, anybody can do whatever they want with their life once they're of age. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. Change your sex, don't change your sex, be triple sexed. Doesn't matter. whatever. Do whatever makes you happy. But I don't want my children, and this is me speaking now, I don't want my children to share, my daughters to share a toilet with a man or a boy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And I don't know any parent of a daughter, of a girl, that would want that. Not one. But there's one thing I really want to bring out here, and something that I talked about a little while ago. Remember, Dave, I talked about, we had a conversation, this was on the air, how corporations do a whole bunch of activities, seemingly charitable and to reflect good corporate citizenship, etc.
If it's in their own interest, yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Or there's something to be gained. And I remember saying this, I said, look, if there wasn't an upside to diversity, Aboriginal inclusion, nobody would do it.
That's right.
It just wouldn't be done.
Unless of course, Mackie, you wanted a government contract that you must have met the criteria.
That's it. That's
it. I know, right?
That's exactly right. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now that the Trump administration is pretty much putting paid to diversity, and inclusion, and so forth in the government.
Yep.
These are the companies that have rolled back their DEI programs. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Meta.
Yep.
Amazon.
Straight
Pepsi,
away.
McDonald's, Walmart, and there are others. And the latest one is Google.
Yep.
And just 5 years ago, Sundar Pichai, who was the CEO then, set a 5-year goal to increase the number of its leaders who came from underrepresented groups by 30%. That's out the window now.
That's right.
Gone. And that's in direct reaction to what Donald Trump is doing, President Trump. Of course it is.
Well, there's let's go back to hiring people who can do the job. That's the thing. I think it's really important.
To be honest with you, I always hired the best person for the job, and I didn't care what they looked like.
Yeah, that's right.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hire, then I've got very specific criteria I hire against. And if you're a woman, or you're a man, or you're gay, or you're short or tall, or you're sitting in a wheelchair, none of these things matter in my job.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So you get the best person for the job, and that led, by complete coincidence, to a fairly balanced workforce. As far as IT is concerned, IT is male dominated anyway. But I was actually happy to have quite a few, like different backgrounds, both racially as well as, sexual orientation. Male female mix wasn't too bad, considering it was IT. And it just happened. You just go for the best person that you can find. And so you didn't have to be too aggressive about it, right? But I find it interesting that now that the wind has changed.
As soon as it changed.
Right?
Yeah.
All these corporations are rolling back all of their stuff.
Yeah, there must not have been much to it.
Oh, no, they invested a lot of money.
No, I mean, there must not have been all of the great benefits to the business for doing it if they're instantly rolling it back. Is there any company that goes, do you know what? Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep it because, geez, it's good.
Look, I think it's a lot of extra effort to ensure that your percentages are right.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you're, and this is where it becomes very dangerous. And I'm against anything that lives under a normal curve. If you know anything about statistics, you know that about 68% of the population fits within 2 standard deviations of the mean, which means that the vast majority of the population fits under the curve in a predetermined fashion. Mm-hmm. Now, they could be skewed left or right, depending on what you're measuring, but within, once you go to 4, 5, or 6 standard deviations, the percentages become negligible. Forget it. It's like the same as with the distribution of EQ and IQ in the population. Right? If you go to the lower percent, like to the 5 standard deviations, there's like 0.01% of the population. So, but if you do follow a curve, and IBM started this when it comes to performance management, like I have to while they don't tell me the exact numbers, when my numbers aren't right, they say, oh, you've got too many people in this category and too many people in that category. Move people around. So when it comes to performance management, you can give them, whatever you want. But if it doesn't align with what the corporation thinks it should be, you have to change it, even if it doesn't reflect reality.
That's right.
You see, this is the kicker. And that's where we are with this. If you have to ensure that you got, 20% African American, 20% indigenous, 20% female, 20% special needs, 20% gay, 20% whatever, right? Just saying. So if you have to make sure all these percentages, that's a lot of work, and that's what the DEI people did, right? They had to make sure that these percentages, and at that point, you're in danger of not hiring the best person for the job.
That's exactly right.
Right? In the same way that I'm forced to mark my people differently to what they actually achieve. Do you know what I mean? Within the context of the totality. Because it no longer reflects reality. And for a company, it's a bad outcome if you have to follow those percentages. And that the bad outcome is that, like I said, you won't get the best person for the job. You may, but you probably won't. Right? So that's all being rolled back. And to your point, Dave, yeah, because I don't think, other than being inclusive and so forth, and diverse, and there's no other benefit to the company. You can argue that a greater female percentage in the workforce is beneficial, which it is, has been proven. In fact, the big miners in Australia, they run a few tests, studies, and they found that the higher the number of females in their employ, the lower the number of accidents. On mine sites and so forth. So that's actually a thing, right? But yeah, so these companies, they don't care about any of them. If they cared about it, they would keep the program.
That's right.
Right? Of course they would. But not. As soon as they have a chance, and look at him. Yeah, what's his name? The Google guy. Zuckerberg. Look at him smile. I'm just looking at him smile now. Yes. It's like, we're doing away with it. What? It's hilarious. And these were the this came about after the death.
Weren't they evangelizing it?
Oh yeah, completely. After Floyd, remember
that's right. Yes.
George Floyd.
Yes, that's right.
Black Lives Matter and all that. That's when it really started to take off. This, the positive action and the DEI and all that, inclusion, etc. It's amazing. Now, Meta also said they're ending their efforts to work with suppliers that are diverse, but will instead focus on small and medium-sized companies. I don't know what to say. I mean, hey, but that's it. It brings to the fore the nature of corporations. That's what corporations are like.
So, Mackie, remember how I asked the question whether we would see in Australia anything that resembled this stark difference in government that Trump has brought? The speed at which he wishes to cleanse the government of the past and move forward. So I know Elon Musk put a savant, 18-year-old or whatever savant, in there to fix to work for him as managing the Doge thing. And I know that the Treasury payment system has now been locked out. They locked everyone out, and now they're combing through the records. They found some extraordinary things, like the guy that headed that department for 40 years or something, he's quit. And he, in a statement, said, we paid everybody. Whenever there was a request to come in to pay in 40 years, he said, we paid it. We never said no. Even though we have the ability to say no, we never did. Even though we knew that we were paying a criminal. Mm-hmm. Just even a foreign criminal. Even a foreign terrorist. It didn't matter who it was. They just paid it. They paid whatever it was, didn't matter. And now they've been locked out of their systems. They can't delete anything. All the computers have been removed, and they're auditing everything to ensure they can find and get to the bottom of everything, right? Which is interesting. Now, that's number one. Now, I applaud them for trying to find ways of saving money, because, as I've said about 1,000 times to my friends, every single year the government supplying the same services, it costs more. Every single year, it costs more. And then that's because of CPI. It's always going to cost more. And then they're trapped in this cycle of having to try and add services to get re-elected, add new things. But there isn't any money. There's less money than there was last time, and it's only a decreasing spiral until the government collapses, until they have to wipe it clean. And I think it's really interesting that they're doing this. Now, to my first point, will there be any telltale signs that Australia is going in that direction? Well, the leader of the opposition, Peter Dutton, said he was interested in cutting government waste. But
he's galloping down that path, Dave.
Yeah, that's right. But, I can imagine all of the shredding machines shredding all of the documents right now. But that's what he said, but I don't have any details. Wait till after the election. But today, I watched Pauline Hanson and Jared Roberts, or whatever his name is, saying we have identified $90 billion in the Australian budget we're going to clear. This is to camera, a bit of a wonky speech. I wish they had someone better, but they don't. This is the Australian First Party, and the reporters are asking about Trump, and I'm not going to make any comments about Trump and what they're doing. That's America. This is Australia, and we are going to. And I'm going, oh my God, this is an historic moment, where we have a party that wants to do with exactly the same thing that America's doing and try to clear it up. Now, will they ever get into power with a majority? Really unlikely. I mean, really. We've got the anyone but Dutton group, and we have anyone but Albanese group, because that's the current Prime Minister. And they're the two leaders, even though we have a party political system here, and you vote for the party, and they can ditch the leader if they're doing badly in the polls, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they do. But the right-wing side can do it without the members of the party voting, only those politicians, but the left must have a caucus, but the members vote. So the members of the party, everyone who's a paid member gets to vote. So it's kind of a little different between the two. I really wished there was more Teals up there, not One Nation, because they've never gotten a seat.
Actually, just on that, I was listening today on the radio. There was a lady at Press Club, and I think she was a Teal independent.
Yeah. And
she said something that I completely and wholeheartedly agree with. We need more independent people in Parliament. A two-party system or any number of limited party system is nonsense. It just doesn't work. It no longer reflects reality for anywhere in the world.
Our system is built for two parties.
Yeah, and it's I'm not going to say it's criminal, but it is no longer something that works, and it has to stop. Mm-hmm. And I agree. We should all vote independent, and that would do away with a lot of corruption and a lot of trouble. And all of a sudden, you would have to be able to make deals and work out scenarios where
everybody
a lot of parties benefit.
That's
because
right.
in order to get a majority, you need to get a lot of people on, and people would no longer be required to vote along party lines, because it would be irrelevant.
Just for everybody, that means that say 20 of you and your friends are together, and if someone has an idea, then you've all got to vote that way. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you can be expelled from the party.
That's right.
If not, complain publicly and then quit of your own volition.
Yeah.
That's what happened here.
That has happened. Right?
Yeah.
a number of times in the recent past where people have crossed the floor, meaning they voted against their own party line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And had a conscience vote.
In Australia, that's called a conscience vote.
Yeah, and the thing is this: they did it
Shouldn't
because
they all be doing that?
Well, yeah, they said, and this is a lady specifically I'm thinking about, that said, well, I have to represent my constituents.
And you know what? Imagine the blank faces from the rest of the party.
They're going,
what do you mean?
What? What? No.
But this is representative government, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Sure it is. Clink with all those.
I'm sure it's time for lunch. Let's go for lunch. So that's. But yeah, look, absolutely, it should be right. The people, the persons in Parliament, the ones that are elected by their respective neighborhoods, as it were, because they're neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
Should represent what is good for that neighborhood. And she happened to come from a majority Muslim neighborhood.
Yeah.
That was her constituents, and therefore, I can't remember. I think it had to do something with the protesting, the war in Gaza or something like that. Right? It doesn't matter. But she said, "No, I can't vote with the party. I'm sorry. This is going against everything I believe and everything my people believe, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And she was punished, and she became an independent by, not necessarily by choice, but because she was forced to. She was actually expelled, I think, from the party, right?
Yeah, that's right. You can't fire me. I quit. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, essentially. I mean, she's still in Parliament because she was elected.
Mm-hmm.
But next
she's
time she
just
wanted...
not a member of the party she was elected to represent.
And you probably ask yourself why. Why do you want to be a member of a party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because running for office costs a lot of money, and it's also hard yakka. So it's not as easy as just saying I want to run for it. If you've got a machine to help you, then it's easier for you to get elected. Now she, I think, in my opinion, has now got enough exposure to be elected on her own terms.
That's
in
right.
her own right, because she's done the right thing for her community, right? And if the community thinks, hey, you've done the right thing for us, then I think she will have no problem getting re-elected. She no longer needs the party machine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big but. Not a lot of politicians have that profile, right? And it's people
that's so disappointing.
Well, yeah, it is. But think about it. We've got these party political seats. Like we've got safe Labour seats and safe
that's right.
Liberal seats. It's a Republican and Democrat for the American vernacular. And so they, that's what people have always voted, and that's what they will always vote. So
that's right.
It's unfortunate, but I think in the last election certainly we saw that more and more independent.
We did. We
members.
saw Teal's increase. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is fantastic. And I'll be honest with you, I vote independent every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time. I want nothing to do with the major parties because that system is broken. But yeah, so we are stuck with an antiquated system, and it's really interesting to watch. And I really do wonder what's going to happen in America in 4 years' time. I do wonder who's going to run against Trump, right?
Well, Kamala has also already said that she'll run, and I think
I don't think
wait. I think every single person that heard her utter those words gave each other the side eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wouldn't. Yeah, that's right.
Not as a Democrat, you're not.
So, just on that. So we've got politicians here now who aren't the two major parties, but at least independent, saying that they're going to adopt some of those what a year ago would have been called extreme radical. Like no one would even dare pull apart the government to find all the wrongdoings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one would have said that. You can't. Oh yeah, actually, you just can. Yeah, and look, I saw footage today that Nancy Pelosi had claimed ownership in a cab, or while she was being driven, someone filmed it, and where she exclaimed that she was to blame for the January 6th because she didn't approve the National Guard, right? And I thought, wow, that's never heard that out in the open, right? before. I watched the New South Wales Transport Minister.
Oh, the lady.
Stepped down because she dropped the kids off on the way to a drinking weekend in the Hunter Valley. In a government car. It's like, wow, you should have paid it back. You probably shouldn't have taken the vehicle, but maybe get an Uber or hire one of those really cool buses, the party buses.
Yeah, look, the money. The trip was about $750, so it's not going to.
Right?
It wasn't even. Yeah, it wasn't even an illegal thing. It's the optics. That's
right. It's not a good look. Yeah.
No. And yeah, she shouldn't have done it in the first place. But she did it, and she goes, "Well, look, I did it, and it looked bad, so I'm resigning." And I thought, wow, that's pretty. Actually, pretty forthright of her, to be honest with you. I was impressed with that resignation, and I thought to myself, well, she admits she did something wrong. She's not trying to weasel her way out of it, or try to hide behind something like someone else might. We've seen in the past. And she took it on the chin and goes, "Look, I'm sorry this happened, etc., etc." And that's where we are. So good for her, I say. And onwards and upwards. I'm sure she's going to be fine. Whatever she chooses to do in the future. But it's certainly a very interesting scenario, and it's the first time that, without a fight, someone has actually resigned like that.
Immediately. That's right.
Immediately.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I mean, usually, it takes a bit of talking to,
And there'll be back and forwards, and it'll, be dragged through the media for a long time, and then it's never it's not going to get better, and it won't go away, and there it is still. It's like, oh, really? So, I found a Snopes article, Mickey, while we're talking about the US. So, this says, unpacking claims that Elon Musk and his Doge team secured access to Treasury payment systems. It's Snopes. And they basically say that they contacted departments involved, and some people mentioned in the articles, but had not yet been independently able to confirm the details of the alleged story. This is Snopes. It's completely known now. Even the head who quit said, confirmed the story. I've never trusted Snopes, ever. And I don't think they earn any of their... Well, if they had credibility, I don't think they earned any of it. Who do you know, Mickey, who uses Snopes' golden phrasing to denounce something?
I don't even know what Snopes is, to be honest.
That's really funny. Do you remember the person who doesn't talk to us anymore from the media business?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would believe that they'd be, a lapdog for Snopes commentary.
Oh, okay.
It's that kind of thing where if you don't want to believe something, you just jump onto Snopes and have a look, and voila, you'll find someone who agrees that you shouldn't agree with it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Gotcha.
You should just turn away. It's not real. Don't worry. It's okay. And Snopes, like the fact checkers, get it wrong, and get it wrong a lot, and get it wrong too slowly. They could have got it right immediately.
So, sorry, who's behind Snopes?
Oh, I'll have to have a look. But it was a way of being able to debunk the internet and any claims on it. But the way that they word their denial that it's real is it appears as though it's a way of being able to have wiggle room. So they'll call out something, if without a specific example it's difficult to explain, but say you made 3 points in a statement online, and then Snopes said, well, not really, and only points one of those out that didn't have any weight. It's the thing with the least weight, where the two main points are where all of the weight was in the argument. They won't debunk those, but they'll debunk one of them, and that's enough for most people to back away and go, oh, look, Snopes said blah, blah, blah. It's not real.
Oh, okay. Right.
So, like the drones or orbs over New Jersey, for that matter, if Snopes had some, just for the listeners, so if Snopes had anything to do with it, they would say all the drones are American drones. And without saying anything about the orbs, for instance. Right? That's how they would approach it. But, social media now, so towing the line, like, we'll just shut you down if you, or sue you for banning people from countering the narrative. Remember there was a thing that happened a couple of years ago? Well, you couldn't say anything about it without having your, the post removed or the warnings put up. In Australia, it wasn't quite as bad as the US because of free speech over there. You've got your right to say whatever you want. But they were deleting people's accounts for countering the narrative. And I saw Zuckerberg on Rogan who said, the government told us to remove people's posts. Specifically, they said this person with their name and their photo and a screenshot, we need that account removed because they were talking about things we didn't want them to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe
free
says,
speech, remember?
all the free speech. And Joe said, well, are you lying? Right? Because you were lying when you said you didn't.
Are you lying now?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so he admitted doing it and receiving it, and now that they don't do it anymore, apparently. So.
Let's just say that, right?
Yeah, but so what they've done is they've just done an X or Twitter thing and put community notes there. So people are able to edit those notes, and the consensus is what makes truth true.
So does that mean YouTube is going to bring back our?
Oh God, no! No, that's never going to happen. No, they're gone for good. And all the warnings, and because Google is, remember the CEO for Google was at the inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even hear a peep. No one hears a peep from Google. Google says nothing to any of its members. Sorry, customer. I mean, the money. We're artifacts. We're all artifacts of Google. So they don't say anything about it. And yet we still get, one person might say something, oh, that's a COVID or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're providing medical misinformation. The next thing is it's deleted. And I didn't know what happened. I've listened to them back, and we said nothing that went against any community standards at all. We didn't provide any medical information, not even misinformation or advice. We didn't. So the only things we ever said was just repeating what a doctor said about trying to stay healthy, and that was all.
Or reading from a medical journal.
That's right. That's right. We read
and peer-reviewed research.
We even read one of those out.
Because we're not stupid, I mean, sorry, but we're not.
No. And yes, we read something from, where was it?
I think it was The Lancet.
The Lancet, that's right. And then we were removed. They deleted the video. So
what,
thank you.
You're going to get rid of The Lancet now? Is that what we're doing?
Well, in England, they've jailed people for 2 years for retweeting something.
That's insane.
It's not even the original person who tweeted.
Where do you go with that? What do you say? Well, you can't even say anything there. That's just insanity, now.
Well, if I had my way, look, it's probably best that I'm not Australia's Prime Minister or leader of anything, really. No country. Because I would really have to balance myself and be grounded the whole time. I was trying to tell someone the other day, how about that self-checking? Mm-hmm. And I said, imagine if we had direct democracy. Mm-hmm. Each one of us can vote on all the bills every single day, or weekly or whatever. You got a week to read them and digest them, and make a decision. Could you imagine how that could go south? Because when a politician decides that they're going to make some decisions, and then suddenly they're no longer centre, and they're way off on the left or the right or whatever, and they still think they're back there, but the past decisions have led them down. It's a horizontal line, like it's just a line on the ground, and there's a mark in the middle, and then you're no longer there. You're way down the end. Well, the populace could do the same thing. Imagine media nudging us a little bit more left and right, which I'm sure they've never done, ever.
Never happened.
Right? Murdoch and Packer, never. No, but that's never... Except one of them claimed to win the election, I remember that.
Hey, wasn't it Fair and Independent? Isn't that the...
Fair and Balanced. Fair and Balanced.
Oh, sorry. That's it. Fair and Balanced.
I remember Fair and Balanced when they turned the lights off and the mic off on the person doing a live cross because they didn't like what they said. That's so fair and balanced. So, the crowd, the populace in Australia, if we went to direct democracy, it could go south as equally bad as if there was let's call it a dictator.
Sure.
I think that what people don't really measure is themselves.
I think that is true. It's difficult. It's difficult to look at yourself completely objectively, right? I mean, people try, and it's not. Look, if you do try it, I applaud your effort, but it's impossible. Your image, your self-image, which was formed over many years, and the view you have of yourself, that's just one of the hardest things to dislodge or critically evaluate. Let's call it. Right? You look at yourself and you think about yourself, well, who am I? What do I believe? Am I really what I'm portraying to be?
Ooh,
there's some great look, corporations aren't always all bad. I mean, we did a lot of what you call it. I guess it's these are kind of workshops, psychologically leaning workshops where you look at yourself and they teach you techniques. And one of the techniques is called helicoptering and terracing. So in the first person, you're yourself and you're only aware of really your own feelings, but you only ever see the person opposite you, right? Mm-hmm. In the next person, you see the person opposite you, but you also look at yourself and how you appear in the context of the conversation. And then you move up the terraces, you're aware of more and more things, and you yourself become a smaller part of the total picture. I mean, if you can achieve complete, not disassociation, but removal of any biased views that you might have, which is the ultimate goal, of course, which is hard to achieve. Then you can truly look at yourself in the right light, right? But like I said, it's not easy to do. But you have to have the ability to look at yourself and ask yourself, how does this person perceive me? And also, how would any outside person perceive the two of us? And then you ask yourself, how would any outside person perceive, the entire scenario, et cetera, et cetera. You can go on ad infinitum, if you really wanted to. But
yes.
Most people don't even think like that, right?
No. I see the same thing if you're thinking about humour and what you think is funny and you don't think you've changed. Just go back. Go back a few years. I know that we saw evidence of societal change just looking at the Star Trek movies or franchise. From, shoot first and ask questions later to let's take a very balanced view about everything, being diplomatic. It's fantastic. And then into Janeway, skipping the worst of them all, but into Janeway and trying to negotiate and make alliances. So being fair as an arbiter is one thing, but then Deep Space Nine was a debacle. It was always in flux, and it was never something that was just totally peaceful, because otherwise that would have not made any good TV. But to look back on it, you go, "Whoa, I don't really like the first one." right, the original Star Trek, look how much we've changed.
In fact, you can do a simple experiment, right? So when I grew up with American comedy like Laurel and Hardy, for example, I used to love Laurel and Hardy, right?
Yeah.
And I want to say I was probably under 10, and even later in the days I liked it, and I still like it, but it is no longer like the belly laughs I used to have. And I look at what my son watches. He's 4, right? And he likes to watch, Spider-Man and Peppa Pig and whatever.
Awesome.
And Bluey. Bluey's brilliant, right? Even I like Bluey. But the point is, you change, and your tastes change, and your understanding change. Because let's say you watched a movie when you were, I don't know, 15. Let's say 15, because that's you're getting adulty, and you watch the same movie when you're 30. I guarantee you it's going to be a completely different experience, because you know more. You've got different points of view. You may no longer see the protagonists in the movie in the way you used to see them.
There's
right?
music.
Oh, you're kidding? What? Oh, come on. All right. Okay. Sorry. Jesus, that went. Did it go fast or is it?
It went fast.
All right. Okay. Look, thank you so much for listening. This has been Platos Cave. Don't go anywhere. Something else can come up. We're going to talk to you again on Sunday. Thanks a lot. But Dave, what should everybody be?
Be safe.